on, everybody? Welcome into First Take. Molly Karen Rose, Max Kellerman. You ready to do it again?
Always, every day.
All right. Stephen A., how we doing?
Good morning, y'all. How y'all doing? How's everything?
Good, real good.
Sweater, look at this.
Matt, hold.
Looks
Molly,
like a nice
Max,
young lad.
Molly, Max.
Yes.
Do y'all approve?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
I think you look cute. I think it's a good look.
It's autumnal.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I mean, because y'all approval doesn't matter. I can't be critiquing everybody else and not have y'all support on this. Okay?
You know, I think
it makes me think of Thanksgiving.
It's also important to dress for the season, and I think he's dressed for the fall season,
That's
right? All right, guys, let's get it. Dak Prescott started off the season, speaking of which, on a tear, but has looked pedestrian of late after losses to the Drew Brees-less Saints and the Packers. Critics say his success is predicated on Ezekiel Elliott's. Neither have been amounting to much production on the field. Here's Jerry Jones on the state of America's team. Take a listen.
Well, first of all, the narrative about his financial as opposed to how he's playing is frankly laughable. It's just not that way. It's too much on both ends of that for the team. It's too much for Dak to equate his performance stats or one loss here these first 2 or 3 games. Let me get that real clear. It is not impacting that with me at all.
Stephen A., let me ask you this. Cowboys, Eagles tied atop of the division. They don't face this week. They take on the Jets. They'll actually have Sam Darnold back, and then they face the Eagles the following week. Who do you think's the better Super Bowl contender? Is it the Cowboys or Philly?
Believe it or not, I think for the moment it would be the Cowboys. Now, obviously, I picked the Eagles to win this division, and I think at the end of the season, it'll probably be the Eagles. But if we're asking this question right now based on what we've seen, I think you have to give the edge to the Cowboys despite their 2-game losing streak because they have a quarterback that we know can play regardless of how he struggled the last couple of weeks. They have an elite running back in Ezekiel Elliott who struggled the last couple of weeks, but we know he could do what he could do. They have a number 1 receiver in Amari Cooper. Michael Gallup is back. Jason Witten has been a solid security blanket in short yardage situations. I think we know what he can do despite his age and what have you, and it's good to see him out there. And this defense is legit. There is no question about that. And so when I look at it from that perspective, I'm thinking all the ingredients, the elements that you need, I would have to give the edge. I look at the Philadelphia Eagles, and guys are dropping passes. There's health issues. We're still wondering about Carson Wentz from the standpoint of how durable he's going to be, etc. Deshaun Jackson hasn't been back. Right now, the Cowboys definitely deserve the edge because I think they're a more complete team and they have all the ingredients needed to implement into their scheme of things in order to acquire the degree of success that we're talking about. For this moment, right now, I would tell you that the Cowboys are a better Super Bowl bet than the Philadelphia Eagles.
I mean,
I assure you I would change my mind before the season ends.
If the playoffs started today, maybe, even then you'd have an argument. The Cowboys just lost 2 games to, as soon as the teams got decent, they lost. But I want to look at the long run here. The Eagles have a better chance to win the Super Bowl than the Cowboys for several reasons. One, what's the fastest way to win a Super Bowl? When you look at the dominant franchises, it's coach quarterback. That's the combination. Doug Peterson, Super Bowl winning coach already. Carson Wentz, elite talent. We know at least that we know elite talent, though he hasn't looked very good recently. But we've seen him play at MVP level, for 13 games of a season before he got hurt. Right. Defense. What do I talk about when you look at the Chiefs, when you look at the Rams even at times, when you look at different teams with these high-powered offenses, but for whatever, you don't believe in them. There's something about them you go, I don't know, defensively. Really what you're talking about to me is always run defense. And I mean the proverbial you. The Saints, oh wait, I like that team. Why? Because that's a team with a dynamic offense that can defend against the run. That's the Eagles. The Eagles are at times a dominant defensive team against the run. They have a stout run defense, a Super Bowl winning coach, a very talented quarterback, and right now, Stephen, and by the way, their tackles even. Lane Johnson on the right side, and of course, Jason Peters on the left side when healthy. That's elite. It doesn't really get better than that. So you look at all the real key areas, and now right now, Stephen A., if Deshaun Jackson's out, the guy who takes the lid off the defense. The offense is not going to look exactly the same, and I've talked much about Carson Wentz needing to learn to become a leader, a better leader. and I think he's working on it. But when I look at these two teams, Jason Garrett will eventually hold the Cowboys back. Doug Peterson will push the Eagles forward.
Well, listen, that's what I'm betting on, so there's no disagreement there. But the reason why I don't think you're in a position to make that argument at this particular moment in time, Max, is because of what I would call a double-edged sword. On one hand, we have the Eagles. What's their weak link, Max? Their secondary, the fact that they can't defend against the pass. They rank 27th in the National Football League. Well, chances are, Max, if they're going to make it to the Super Bowl, who are they going to have to go against? They're going to have to go against a Dallas. They're going to have to go against a Green Bay. They might have to go against Detroit with Matthew Stafford. They might have to go against Jared Goff in L.A. They might have to go against Russell Wilson. They might have to go against Jimmy Garoppolo, porn star Jimmy himself. I mean, listen, when you look at it from that perspective and you can see the quarterbacks that are out there with the capabilities to do damage, and your weak link is defending against the pass, I don't think that bodes well for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, do I think they'll manage to overcome it? They'll figure out a way to work around that? Sure. I don't doubt that. I'm certainly not going to doubt it against the Cowboys. I think they'll figure it out. But if you have to make this choice right now, looking at both respective rosters and seeing what both has going for them, I can't deny the fact that the Dallas Cowboys deserve the edge at this particular moment in time.
Look, every team has a weakness, and you're right to point out that in this football era, you better be able to match up in your secondary, man to man. You better have some athletes back there that can get it done. So the Eagles are not a perfect team. I'm not taking them to win the Super Bowl. But when you look at the kinds of teams that win Super Bowls, it is the coach-quarterback combination. I point to the offensive line where the Cowboys are, famously excellent at this point. But the Eagles are actually, going into the season, they were a little overrated. Right now, they might be a little underrated in terms of the heights they'll be able to achieve on the line, especially with their tackles when healthy. I mentioned the run defense. There are other things to like about the Eagles, but it comes down to Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz. Do you like that in the moment of truth, or do you like Jason Garrett and Dak Prescott? Give me Peterson and Wentz.
I got you there. But again, when we're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, like you can say Peterson and Wentz, but remember that defense was a problem. And remember why they had a chance against New Orleans in the postseason, because that defense showed up, unlike they did during the regular season when they got blitzed by that same New Orleans Saints franchise. So we got to look at it from the perspective that Peterson and Wentz can do some things for you, but Schwartz and that defense, even though I like Schwartz as a defensive coordinator, that defense, that secondary is a problem, and they better fix that. Not against the run. We know what they can do against the run. Against the pass, that's what the Eagles have to worry about.
But meantime, the Cowboys against the run, where you would think they would be stout with those linebackers. But those linebackers, I asked Dan Orlovsky about this the other day off camera. I can't understand. I love Van Der Esch and these guys. What happened? Well, teams are using their aggression against them, especially savvy coaches.
You don't think they'll figure that out?
I don't know. Stephen A., when have the Cowboys
those two linebackers?
When have the
Smith
Cowboys,
and Lane Van Der Esch?
But that's not really about the linebackers as much as it's about the coaching. When have the Cowboys ever figured it out in the moment of truth?
Well, all right. You beat Max. Congratulations on that one. You just won an argument, because who the hell's going to I'm not going to argue with that last point. That black cat running around that franchise, bro. Of course I'm going to agree with that point.
Cowboys,
Thank you very
Jets,
much.
Eagles, Vikings this weekend. We'll see if anyone takes the lead there. Much more to come here on First Take. With a struggling quarterback and a 2-3 record, is it time to panic in the land? Plus, one NBA superstar says the Knicks just aren't cool enough, so should any superstar ever consider playing for the franchise? We get into that. Stay here. It's First Take.